YouTube, hello, Retro Reclaimer is here. Got a pickups video. They don't come around too often these days, these. So, yeah, mainly the SNES titles, which I'm sure I've mentioned in the title for the video. And then there's also some Xbox, 3DS, PSP, original Xbox and Xbox 360. And then a console as well. So, yeah, a couple of bits to show. As always, I'm not buying a great deal of things. If I just take you on a little quick tour, you can see that there's not much room left in here. This is full to the brim. I've got a plastic box there full to the brim. Deep sideboard here, completely full. And as you can see on top, there's just boxes piled to the ceiling. This is sort of, I've got to be careful here now to not show you the pickups. But yeah, I've basically just made, I've mentioned this before, but just a practical corner where I've got a bit of space, because as you can see, it's very narrow in here. And yeah, there's no space for anything. If I was staying here permanently, I'd certainly make some changes. Are we straight? I don't know. I'd make some changes, but I'm hopefully moving sometime soon this year, fingers crossed. So it is just, I'm still buying stuff, it's just being stashed away. But I'd imagine I'm going to have to start thinning stuff out or making some serious adjustments. But like I said, when I move, I'll figure out what space I've got, and then we'll go from there. Because as much as I enjoy collecting, I don't want an over cluttered mess. I want to be able to walk in and there's plenty of space, it's comfortable, it's easy to grab stuff. I've got quite a bit of stuff in the attic as well, and it's becoming more hoarding than collecting. So we'll see where we go with all that. But for now, let's just show some stuff that I've been buying. So I don't get out and hunt as much these days. Number one, because of the cost and my own financial circumstances, putting money away to try and build this deposit up, and you sort of refrain from spending, well, certainly big spends. And then on top of that, I've got most of the things I want now. There's other consoles and games and stuff that I'd really like to have, but I know it's going to be pricey, so I'm just slowly building bit by bit. So I'll show you the SNES. I tell you what, let's just get into the general pickups before I come to the SNES stuff, and we'll talk about my sort of where I'm at with collecting and where I'm heading. So I went out to, so whenever my in-laws come up, me and my father-in-law, we always go out to some car boots and charity shops and stuff like that. We, just to get out for the day. And we visited a few car boots, quite a few charity shops, and I just didn't pick up anything. It's getting rarer and rarer. It was difficult, several years ago to run into decent games, and now it's almost not worth going. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who've probably just stopped, because you can spend a full day and not grab anything. So talking of full days, so we went out to 2 different towns, and yeah, there was a couple of car boots, there was some charity shops, CEX, and I actually had some, I think I had, how much did I have? I think I had about 50 quid in my pocket, thinking, right, we'll just get rid of that. I spent £1. Spent £1 on a Lord of the Rings, A Fellowship of the Ring. I was never a massive fan of this game, but I'm pretty sure it came out before the films came out, so the title's slightly different, and it's just completely different to the other games. The Two Towers, Return of the King. It's less combat and more sort of role play. But I remember getting, so you start off as Frodo, you're in the Shire, and I think I got to the Maggot's farm where the ring wraiths are after you. I've never really got past that point. Whether I'll ever actually sit down and play it or not, I don't know. But it's nice to have them for £1. I wasn't going to leave it. So that's number one. All these I've already sort of cleaned up, by the way, so they might look a bit fresher. Then, so on the same day at a car boot, there was a multi-storey car park which turns into a car boot on Sunday. Another thing I found with car boots is they're mainly resellers. So they're mainly sort of small businesses as opposed to a car boot. You know, I think it seemed to be there were a lot more people just selling stuff from their house, junk from their house, just making money, thinking, wow, you know, I don't have to take it tips, go to a car boot, get a bit of money for it, and that's where people grab bargains. Whereas nowadays, there's people selling, you know, the likes of brand new tools or e-cigs, electricals, but certainly with gaming related items, there's people who are selling games, and this, you know, they're not selling them at a typical car boot price. They're selling them as if they were putting them on eBay maybe. So I did come across a PSP with a few games, and I can't remember, I think he wanted 60 quid. It was just a PSP on its own with maybe 6 games and the charger. I looked at it briefly, and when he said 60 quid, I said I'll have a look again later. Come back, and I thought, I've already got a couple. I'd take it for 30 quid. I thought if it were 30 quid, I would have bought it. So as I walked past, I said, "Is 30 quid any good for you?" And it was just a straight up no. He's probably bought it around that price. But yeah, it's just frustrating how there's so many resellers. Like you're at a car boot, you finally come across some games, but they're selling them for your sort of average price that they're selling for on eBay and you know, proper game shops and CX, the likes of those places, which almost thinks, well, what's the point in bringing it to a car boot? But anyway, what I did find was a little box of chargers and plugs, and I found a Nintendo 3DS charger. I don't particularly need one, but it's always nice to have them as a backup. And so I asked, this was a lady selling them, so I asked the lady, I said, how much for your charger? And she said £1. So for £1, if mine was to bust, and I've been playing the 3DS quite a lot lately, but if mine was to bust and I was to buy a new one, I'd imagine it'd set me back at 15 quid or so. So to get an official one for £1, it's a bargain, and it works. I've tested it; it works. So that's brilliant. If I got back, it didn't work. £1, who cares? Right, next. Let me see, I'm trying to do this in sort of order. Right, I think I bought all these 4 together as a one-er. Again, all from CEX. I've got one of Luigi's doggers in my mouth. So all these are from CEX, and these are just stuff that just caught my eye, and I thought, yeah, I fancy that. So the first one is Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. The reason I want this is because I've always looked at it on the Wii U. I've always looked at this Wii U title and thought that looks something like I'd enjoy, but never ever gone ahead and bought it. And I think it's starting to creep up in value now. But I really enjoy the 3D, and I've got quite a good 3DS collection. I say quite good. Some of you, it depends what you consider as quite good. I think I've got about 50 games, where, you know, that's quite good for me. But there'll be those of you out there with 500, and that's not, you consider that not to be quite good. But yeah, it's a new 3DS game, so this is what drew me into it, the fact that it's just for the new 3DS. Obviously there weren't many games released that are just specifically for the new 3DS console, which isn't new anymore. So yeah, I just thought I'd grab that. Again, it's something I'm probably not likely to play, but I thought, let's grab it. And this, I can't remember the price, but this was all cheap. I spent on this, there's 4 games including that one. I think I spent like 20 quid maybe. The next one is for the PSP, but it's a UMD, and it's called Tombstone. So it's just different matches of The Undertaker. I bought this really for, I mean, I'm subscribed at the moment to WWE Network, so I'm pretty sure all these matches would be on there, but it's just, again, because it was like a quid maybe, a £1.50, and just for that nostalgia of watching something on the PSP, I guess. But yeah, I'm sure I'll enjoy it, and obviously I'm dead into wrestling at the moment, so it's definitely caught my eye. I'll speak about wrestling at the end as well. Next one is Star Ocean. So it's something as a kid or a teenager, I guess, when I had a 360. This was one of those games where I thought, yeah, that's right up my street. It's made by Square Enix, and basically it's sort of Final Fantasy type of game. And I've never played it, but it's one of those that I always thought I need to get as a kid, but never got round to for whatever reason. The way I am these days when it comes to gaming, I struggle with RPGs now. They are my favourite type of game, but I find myself struggling. I think maybe it's the time, isn't it, and the commitment. It's easier as you get older just to grab a game that you can pick up, you can play a bit of, and then put down. But yeah, so I can't imagine I'll ever play it, to be honest, but it would be nice if one day I do pick it up and give it a go. I sort of got it in my head where, because this room is sort of uncomfortable, I always consider this as have you played The Sims, right? So when you play The Sims and you first start off and you don't use any cheats, you've got rubbish furniture, rubbish electronics, rubbish wallpaper, decorations, and all that sort of stuff, and that you've got your hygiene, your bladder, your hunger, your sleep, but there's a bar for room, and it changes depending on the room that you walk in. So if you've got like pretty flowers and expensive paintings on the wall, the room goes right up, so your mood's up. Whereas if I don't know if there's a dirty plate or if there's cheap furniture and rubbish wallpaper, your room goes down, so it sort of affects your mood. And I feel sometimes when I walk in here, because well, you've just seen, there's a bit of organisation to it, but it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit claustrophobic. There's too much stuff in here. It needs sorting out. It isn't comfortable just to sit in for long periods of time. I feel like my room bar, it goes really down when I go in here, so I struggle to sit and get stuck into games, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I've got it in my head that when I've moved and I've got a better space, I will have my 360, for example, set up, nice comfortable couch, and I'll be able to get involved in these sort of titles. But yeah, I say that now, and I guarantee you, a couple of years from now, I'm sat in a room going, yeah, still don't play it or whatever. The next one, another cheap one, Aliens vs Predator, Extinction on the original Xbox. Works really well because it's obviously green, and then the fact that the Xbox case is green. All these, by the way, have manuals apart from Xenoblade Chronicles, which I've looked it up, and it doesn't come with a manual as far as I'm aware. So I took a gamble on that one. I just thought, yeah, it probably doesn't come with one. This game I played back in the day. I don't think I ever completed it, but it's basically a strategy game, Age of Empire. It's probably most relatable to Halo Wars. You've got three factions. You've got humanity, the Predators, and the aliens. And I think the story mode, you're humans, but you can play as all three. And they all work differently, and strategy games are really fun. Even on consoles, it's just completely different to other games that you play. So it always makes a nice change. Again, I probably never come back round to that, but it feeds the addiction to having this hobby and having these stuff. So right, we've got that out the way. So next I've got SNES and a console. So I'll show the console first. So my mate at work, he gets out to charity shops quite a bit, and whenever he comes across something, he'll always give me a call. And he came across something, give me a call, and I said, yeah, get it. Let's have a look. And it's a PS2 console, and it's in really good condition actually. I say really good. It's mainly this front face. I'm gonna try and change the angle of it. There you go, you've got some light on there. But it's, apart from this sticker, which I'm sure will come off dead easy, and the bottom's got a few marks, it doesn't have many scratches. It looks to be really good. Looking inside as well, there's not a great deal of dust. Of course you can see dust, but it doesn't look that bad. And then more than anything, the seals haven't been broken. So that is definitely something I looked at straight away. It's got, you know, the twisted PlayStation logo. It's got the cover for the back from the expansion port, and it's, yeah, SCPH 390003. I don't know the difference. I think this is a later model, but I could be wrong. And yeah, and initially I got it thinking I'll just trade it in, hopefully make a little bit of a profit. But for what the profit's worth, really, I'm best off just keeping it, because I don't actually own a fat model. It's got the power cord, but it doesn't have the AV cable, but I've already got spares of those anyway, so that's not a problem. And yeah, so I watched a video recently. Who was it now? Who was it? Yeah, I'll not remember until I'll remember as soon as I've finished this video. It'll pop in my head straight away. But I watched a video on someone were talking about PS2. I'm sure it was it was Geordie Slasher Gamer, and so I watched his room tour, and he's got some fat PS2s. He's got the PS2 TV unit, but he said that he uses a fat PS2 because the thin one is prone to scratching discs. Now, I've probably heard it before, but I heard that and I thought, I tell you what, I'll keep this unit. I'll swap it out with my Slim. I've got a Silver Slim console there. I'll swap it out with that, and I'll use this in order to protect those discs. So, especially with it being in nice condition as well. And I'm more nostalgia towards this model as well, because this is one I had growing up. I'll never forget the Christmas that my brothers, there were 4 of us, but we shared rooms, so there were 2 in one room, 2 in another, and I'll never forget, we both, after we opened our presents, my parents came in with 2 more, and we had a PS2 to share between us and a couple of games. So yeah, absolutely, it's fantastic. It's a lot of memories. Just obviously this weren't mine from back in the day. So yeah, for 15 quid, it's a bargain just for the unit itself. For some reason it came in a PS3 box, so yeah, how about that? And then 2 PS3 controllers, which are in a bit of a state. So the analog sticks seem to have lost, I don't know, elasticate. I don't know. They get sort of stuck. I don't know PS3 controllers that well, but I know CX, for example, won't take them unless they're obviously cleaning the battery holds. So I've yet to test these, but I'm going to clean them. I'm going to give them a good clean without taking them apart. I'm going to try and not take them apart, but I might have to. See if I can get these to be a bit better, and then test them as well and see if they work. If they work, then I can either keep them, or because I've got a PS3, but I don't have any. I think I've got one controller which doesn't hold charge, so I'm probably better off keeping them, to be honest. So yeah, we'll test them to see if they work, and then we'll give them a clean. But if they both work, then for 15 quid, it's an absolute steal. So dead chuff with that, and dead, you know, that's where this hobby really helps, when you've got someone else who can sort of keep an eye open for stuff for you as well. Right, moving on to the SNES, which is probably what most people, it's sort of what people want to see. I think with game collecting, when it comes to Xbox 360 and all that sort of stuff, people, it's cool, but it's not as retro as SNES, Mega Drive and beyond. But unfortunately, you don't find this stuff anymore in the wild. So all these are from CEX. Let me just think. So I'm going to show you, what order are we going? I'll tell you what, we'll go in this order. So I've recently got a new phone. Whenever I get a new phone, I take my old one to see it, 'cause I can probably sell it and make more money, but just for the ease of going down there, here you go, they take it, and there you go, I've got credit. It just makes sense for me. So yeah, I got a bit of credit, and I bought back my Skies of Arcadia. So it's not the one that so if you don't know, I had a few games stolen from me, free that I'm aware of. I had Resident Evil 2, Pokemon Gold boxed, and Skies of Arcadia, all stolen. I bought back the Resident Evil 2, the exact same copy, because they were all taken to CX, and the others were gone. So now I've got Skies of Arcadia back, which has also increased in value since I purchased it last time. But yeah, very happy to have this back. Obviously 2 discs, nice working hinges, and the manual. And yeah, it was just a shame really that I've had to spend, I think it was 80 quid or so. If I didn't have to buy that back, I probably could have got more SNES games. But what comes around goes around, and 3 of those games that are stolen, I've got 2 of them back. The other game I bought, so this was from, I think I got about 120 quid maybe for my phone. What was it? A Google Pixel 6. Not a Pro one as well, just a normal one. So I got Super Mario Kart. When you think back to nostalgia, and when I go back to my childhood, there's certain games which really stand out, and for me this is one of them. I think at this point I'm probably going back to a late 90s, 98, 99 maybe, and I had a SNES. I think my brother had a PS1, and my other brother had a Nintendo 64, but I remember this is what we were drawn to. We was all playing this often. My mates would come around, we'll play this, and we spent a lot of time on it. I think when you see where Mario Kart is today, we're on Mario Kart 8 Ultimate, is it? And you think of the graphics and how what's the word? How popular it is. I'm sure it's one of the best-selling games on the Switch. It's sort of hard to think that, or imagine that this is where it started. So I played this with Oscar a few days ago, and he struggled on it because obviously it's completely different to anything he's used to, but it brings back memory. It just brings back, that nostalgia is hard to explain, but it's just, sat there playing it with Oscar. It was like I was his age when I was playing this game when I owned it back then. It's just super. There's just something really special about it. So this box, so all these boxes that I'm going to show you, I've used Tooty's video. He's done a video, like a tutorial on how to restore boxes and just maintain them. So I've got any sort of stickers off from there, and I've ironed them flat. I've glued some of the edges. I've not gone crazy detail, but I've made it so that it's decent enough. These have all got manuals, so at the moment I'm collecting box complete SNES, which is a bit of a joke this day and age, but so that tab's ripped and there's a bit of rip there, but I'm not being too harsh with it. It's as long as it's sort of presentable, the artwork's there, the manual's readable, that's good enough for me. You could build up quite a big SNES collection just kart only for relatively cheap until you get to those expensive games. But all the games that I particularly want are the ones which I had when I was as a kid. They're these popular games which are quite cheap, so I'm quite lucky in terms of that. And of course I keep them all in these clear. They just look amazing, and it's just a way of preserving what we've got. another one. So this is a game which, again, they've got to come with the memories, haven't they? So I think I borrowed this game off one of my neighbours, and it were the graphics that drew me to it. The graphics are similar to Mortal Kombat. I don't know what I don't know the terminology to explain it, but I'll just show you the game. It's Killer Instinct, but I remember being so excited as a kid playing a fighting game where you could be a skeleton, a werewolf, a dinosaur. There's different sort of mythical monsters and stuff. And again, it's another game which is still ongoing today, but I believe this is where it started. There is some sunfade. So these boxes weren't in as good condition as they are now. I have, like I said, treated them. So I'll just quickly show you around. So they're worn, but they're in good condition. I'm not after crisp, amazing. Obviously that would be good, but I can open these boxes and play the games without worrying about damaging them too much, because they're already damaged. This one does have sun fade. I think it's mainly this side. If you were to compare with your own, you'll see that there's a lot of colour faded. So this has been in a shop window for quite a while. At first, I was considering taking it back because of that, and I thought it's still all there. The artwork's still all there, and you've got to find a balance. You can't be too picky if you're going to start collecting SNES. So I've just started collecting SNES again, like this year. And another thing that drew me to it was this black cartridge. So when you add a few SNES games and this one's black, it just stands out really well. This one's also got a poster in the back. I love stuff like this. Let me get this out. Again, with the condition of the box, I don't know enough. I feel vulnerable to buying fakes. So look, it comes with a poster for different. It's just I love stuff like this. Just looking back on, because it just, like I said, it's the memories. It just, especially when if you've got children and you show them, look, this is what the world used to be like before Fortnite. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I feel vulnerable to buying knockoffs or reproduction boxes and stuff like that. The next one I'll show you, I'll explain a bit more. But when they're battered like this, I know that they're not. So this is the last pickup now. It's F-Zero. So this is one that I think this is one I wanted more than any of the others. There's a big rip there on the back. There was a big sticker there which I've got rid of. And there was already damage to it, but I've salvaged it as much as I can. This box is actually in really good condition. The only difference is on the bottom, there's this white. I put this in a group actually, so it's just different than the others. So on the bottom of the others, it's got the Super Nintendo and the game logo, whereas this one doesn't. So I've been told that there's just different box variants and it's nothing to worry about. But I was just slightly worried just because of how nice the box is. But then I also thought, would anybody go through the trouble to make a new F-Zero box? There's much more expensive games. Why not bother with those? But I don't know. I'm led to believe that it isn't a repro. Obviously, yeah, there is some damage to it, but it's just in much better condition than some of the others. Like that just feels really strong and sturdy. But again, the manual's in there, as is the cartridge. But this is one particular game. This is, when I first started collecting SNES again, I thought, do I go for boxed complete or do I just get the cartridges? Because I just want to be able to play the games. But I remember having this game as a kid. And as a kid, most of my games were just cartridge only. But I remember this particular game. Obviously, there's not much story to these older games. You just play a game. and there's different characters, you don't know nothing about them, but the story comes in the artwork. So that this does like a comic strip. The same in the manual, there's a big comic strip, but I remember reading it when I was younger, learning that there's an alien in the green one, and that there was a story. I remember reading the story and learning that he was a good guy, he was the bad guy. So that sort of helped me make my mind up that I want to collect box complete, because the artwork actually means quite a lot. And then I thought, well, I could just get the artwork reproduction. And then I thought, no, it just eats away at me. I'll just be looking at it thinking, it's fake. So I got those 3 games recently. I got the Mario Kart and the Skies of Arcadia. That came through some credit from trading my phone in. The other 2, they're relatively cheap games, these ones. But I bought those just, I think I just treated myself maybe a couple of months ago. And then I've got these 2, which I've already shown in a pickups video, but I've again straightened the boxes and made them nicer. So these are some of the cheaper titles, but including the Super Mario World, which came with a console, I've now got Starwing, Clock, Killer Instinct, Super Mario Kart and F-Zero, which are all games that I had when I was younger. There's probably no more than 5 more which I want to grab hold of, and then I'm probably done with that collection. It's nice to play them. I was playing them the other day with Oscar, which makes it better. But yeah, they're not games that I will play too often, I'd imagine. Hence why I don't want to go crazy all out on a SNES collection. So I'll probably get a few more, and then again, once I've moved and stuff, decide where to go from there. So I said I was going to talk about some stuff. So wrestling. I know this is a long video, but I don't do videos, so we'll be right. So wrestling, and then just sort of my focus on collecting. So at the moment, I don't go out a great deal. Every time I'm in town, I'll nip in CEX, but I very rarely grab anything. Usually I'm just picking up games now which are a couple of quid, and they've got some sort of meaning that I want those games. I'm not actively collecting as such anymore. I'm not going out and thinking, Assassin's Creed 3, I've not got that, let's just pick that up now. Yeah, I've not got that, let's grab it, sort of thing. Because I've no space, so I've just slowed right down. But again, it gives you time to play the game, so whenever I have these sort of interruptions in collecting, it gives you more time to play the actual game, so there is that benefit to it. So I think I'll keep focusing on the SNES. There's a few, like I said, probably about 5 more titles that I want to grab. Once I've grabbed those, I'll then look at changing it up. So I'm hoping at that point I've moved and I know what space I've got, but I think I'd like to get a Nintendo 64 again. I had a really good collection for the. If you look at some of my older videos, I had. Don't get me wrong, I still only had several games, but I had both of the Zeldas, the Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap, GoldenEye. Basically, I had all the games that Yoshi's Story, and they're all the games that I want to buy again. I can play all those on the Switch, but again, that nostalgia hit. You want the real thing. So that's probably an area I'm going to delve into, try and grab a few more stuff for. Maybe the 360 as well. Again, just because I think we're probably at around the starting point of the 360 starting to shoot up. Obviously, there's already some expensive games, but I mean more of the cheaper stuff going up as well. So then finally the wrestling. So I'm going to share my Instagram, if I can figure it out. I'll put in the comments my Instagram channel for my wrestling profile. So the Starman Casey Carlisle is my wrestling name. I've just at the weekend, I've got another match tomorrow, and at the weekend I had a very, very good, enjoyable match. When I say good, I'm not boasting myself, I'm just saying I had like a great experience sort of thing, and everything went well. Reactions were good. So yeah, I don't. It's probably worth me doing a separate video on the wrestling, because a lot of people who like this sort of stuff tend to like the wrestling as well. But I don't know, if you want a more dedicated video to wrestling, just leave a comment or something. Let me know if there's one person who's interested. I'll do it. But yeah, I'll leave my Instagram channel so you can go and check over, and any updates I'll put on that Instagram. I'm trying not to go too far with the social media because it's hard work. If I've just got Instagram, I'll just use that as a platform, and I know you're supposed to spread it all out, but I can't keep up with all that. As long as I'm wrestling and I'm having fun, that's the main thing. So yeah, if you're interested in that, click on the link, go and have a look. If I get any sort of likes, as always with YouTube, but more so for the Instagram, if I get likes and shares and follows and all that sort of stuff, it helps. Obviously other people see me and stuff, and it'll help me reach out to a greater audience, so that'll be really helpful. But yeah, like I said, we can do a separate video on the wrestling, but that's a little update. If I do a future video, I'll put some clips in there, some unseen stuff, and we'll have a discussion about it maybe. So yeah, we'll leave the video there because I'm probably ran about 40 minutes, I'd imagine now. Let's have a look. 36, not too bad. And yeah, I'll probably see you in another few months again. It's little and often now that I'll be doing these pickup videos, unfortunately, just because I don't have a great deal of fun in the wild, because it's almost empty. There's nothing there, but we'll keep adding to this. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So great to hear from you, but you don't. I'm just speaking to a bloody camera. But yeah, it's good to do another video, and I'm looking forward to any sort of responses. And I've been watching a lot of videos lately, but I'm watching them on my telly downstairs. So whenever I'm ironing, or so if I'm ironing, if I'm cleaning, cooking, or out like that, I'll always put YouTube on and I'm watching stuff. But obviously the video ends and I'm busy. I'm not leaving comments. Other times I'm watching them on my telly, and again I'm not leaving comments on videos. So I have been watching a lot of videos, but I've just not been commenting. So I'll make sure I start doing, because it's what we all do it for. We all do it for the interaction, and whilst I'm watching, I'm not interacting so much. So I'll try and change that. All right, I'm going now. I'm going. All right, I'm gone. Just one more. I'm going. Bye bye.